Hello and welcome everyone to Free School Guru. Today we are going to learn about verbs. So verbs is a very important part of speech. So please pay all your attention to this session. It's a very important session. A verb, as you all know, it's a word which describes an action or a state of being. So that's the definition of verb. So verb is a word that describes an action or a state of being. So verb generally tells you what a person or a thing is doing, what a person or thing has. So it basically denotes an action. Remember, verb is like the heart of a sentence. Every sentence must have a verb. Okay, so let's try to understand it with an example. The cat ran on the street. So what is the action here? Ran. So ran is the verb in this sentence. The boy is playing. What is the action here? Playing. So playing becomes a verb. Okay. So let's get the definition first for verb. Verb is a word that describes an action or a state of being. Okay. And we try to talk about few examples like John is sitting on the chair. Okay, let's take one more. I like to play soccer. So what's the action here? What's the action word here? Okay, let's pick them. So when I say John is a person or place or thing, is sitting on the chair. What is the action here? Sitting. So sitting is your verb because that denotes an action or a state of being. So in this case, it's a state of being. It's a state in which John is right now. I like to play soccer. So the word play denotes an action or a state of being. Okay, so that becomes your verb. Now what is important for us to understand is the object. There's a concept in verb which is called object of a verb. Okay, so I'm going to write here object of a verb. We need to understand this, and I'll tell you why. Because once you understand the object of a verb, it's very easy to understand the types of verb and the usage of those types of verbs. So without getting into the definition, let's try to understand with the help of few examples. And let's go back to I like to play soccer. So in I like to play soccer, I can ask you a question. What do I like to play? So if I ask you this question, what do I like to play, means what action do I like to do? And your answer would be Soccer. Yes. So my answer is soccer. I like to play soccer. So soccer becomes your object of the verb play. Soccer is your object of the verb play. Okay, let's take another example. David went to school. Okay, now let's pick the action. Action is went. Went is the verb. Now my question would be, where did David go? David went to school. So school becomes your object to the verb went. This is the relationship between went and school. So your went is verb and your school is object. So your school becomes object to the verb went. Is that clear? Do we understand what is the object of a verb? Perfect. So now let's move on to some interesting concept. Now, what are the different types of verbs? What are the different types of usage of words? So let's understand the first one. The first one is called transitive verb. What is a transitive verb? So a transitive verb is a verb that needs an object to complete its meaning. So a verb that requires an object to complete its meaning. Now when if I say John is, if I say I like, okay, so let's take an example. Okay, so I think let me get you the definition first for transitive verb and then we'll take the example. So transitive verb is a verb that requires an object to complete its meaning. Okay. Now example could be I like, John likes, right? So these are transitive verbs. We don't have an object to complete its meaning. So likes and like in these two sentences, they become transitive verb. Now, if I add an object to it, then it becomes a total meaning to the sentence. So I say, I like apple. So apple is an object. So I added an object and the meaning is complete. Okay, so that's your transitive verb. Now let's try to understand the next concept. Now the next type is intransitive verb. Okay, so next type is intransitive verb. What is an intransitive verb? An intransitive verb does not require an object to complete its meaning. So transitive and intransitive, they are quite opposite to each other. So unlike transitive verb, which requires an object to complete its meaning, intransitive verb does not require an object to complete its meaning. Intransitive verb. Okay. So intransitive verb does not require an object to complete its meaning. So if I say John walked, is that a complete sentence? Yes. You don't need an object, right? Teacher smiled. You don't have an object in this sentence, but it's a complete sentence and it does not require an object. Water flows. Flows is a intransitive verb and it does not require an object to complete its meaning. So it becomes an intransitive verb. Okay. So these are the two important concepts that you have to remember when it comes to verb. Intransitive verb, transitive verb. And for that, you really need to understand what is an object of a verb. So that's about verb. For this lesson, I think we have sufficient work to do as far as verbs and types of verbs are concerned. In the subsequent lessons, which will be coming, I will explain you the different types of tenses, their usage, their categories, their characterizations, their identification. So those are more advanced lessons, but I will be covering them in the next subsequent lessons. Okay. So for now, that's all we have. Go back and practice. Any questions, please let us know. Please email me or please leave a note on the website freeschoolguru.com. Take care. Bye-bye.